everyone and welcome back to my class. As you know that I am Ali Manisa, available through WhatsApp and looking forward for the online meeting classes. In our previous class, we have discussed about the chapter Indian Constitutional and Historical Context. In this chapter, which is related to our civics subject, and the first chapter is this. So, after the moderate phase, extremist phase, now we will discuss about the Gandhian phase. In the Gandhian phase, after the movement, the last movement is that Quit India movement, which held in 1942. Quit India movement marks a significant phase of Indian national movement. The Cripps proposals were not acceptable to the Indians. The Cripps proposals were not acceptable to Indians. Indian leaders repeatedly expressed their desire to complete independence. Then the Congress Working Committee, under the advice of Gandhiji, gave a call for the Quit India movement on August 8 in 1942. Gandhiji gave do or die slogan to the Indian peoples. The immediate effect of this call was arrest of Gandhiji and other members of the Congress. Of course, the Indian National Congress was banned. All the sections of Indian society unhesitatingly responded to Gandhiji's call, and large-scale nationwide demonstrations were held and people demanded the British to quit India immediately. After all these activities and struggles, now India come to the sharp and last point is that Quit India movement, they are openly announced to British rulers that just quit the India immediately now. People continued their agitation with the peace and non-violence. The British government sensed the intensity of the agitation and detained the thousands of people. The movement continued by common people when all the leaders were arrested. So here the British rulers sense and smell and feel that the strongness and oneness and the struggle of the Indian citizens towards their rule. That's why they arrested the main leaders, political leaders along with the Mahatma Gandhi. But at this moment, common people raised up and they were continued the movement, that is Quit India movement. Now, the nationwide demonstrations, hartal, strike and protest took place everywhere and in every society and in every area. Many leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru, Patel, Maulana Azad, Kripalani, Aruna Asif Ali and others were arrested. Quit India movement continued from the day of Gandhiji's in August 1942, his date of release in May in 1944. Then the British rulers, unable to face the movement and had decided to grant independence to Indians. On the whole, Gandhiji's rule in Indian national movement won all over the world. At last, after all these struggles, movements, and all these actively participants of the political leaders, of the political freedom fighters, even the common people of the India has now come to achieve our independence. All these citizens and all the nation has become strong against the British rule and rulers. So that now at the end of the day, the British rulers has decided to grant the independence to India. After the movements, we will discuss about the Government of India Acts, how the Acts is also playing their important role in our Indian Constitution, how these movements and how the Acts are framed and structured the Indian Constitutions in history. After the movements, now we will discuss about the Government of India Acts. About the Acts we will discuss in this session. Here, the colonial British government in India has passed many acts for the governments of India. These acts were passed to regulate their administration and to protect their interest on the one hand and to accommodate the moderate elements of the Indian national movements on the other hand. The notable among these acts are Act in 1773, Charter Acts in year 1793, 1813, 1833 and 1853. The Act for the Better Governance of India in year 1858, Indian Council Act in 1861 and in 1892, Indian Councils Act in year 1909, the Government of India Act 1919, Government of India Act in year 1935 and the Indian Independence Act in 1947. All these are important acts that are necessary to know the constitutional development in India. Now we will see all these acts, how they are developing the constitution and how they are necessary to frame out, to structure out the Indian constitution. Okay. So the first most act is that the Indian Council Acts in year 1909. In this, the act was formulated with the initiative of Lord Minto. Hence, this act is popularly called as Minto-Morley Reforms Act. At various reasons contributed for undertaking reforms in this act. The growing of discontent among the people against the British government, demands from the moderate for representation of India and Indians in councils, demands from the Muslim community for the political accommodation and for the spread of Indian national movement with the entering of extremist phase. How the acts are also related to the movement and related to the phases also. All these things are interrelated, how they are practicing and what come out from that movements, that phases. Here these acts are based on that movements only. So we will see what are the main provisions of the Indian National Councils Act in 1909. This Indian Councils Act has extended the numerical strength in Central Legislative Council from 16 to 60 provisionals of legislature councils to a minimum of 30 to maximum of 52. Legislatures were also provided powers like discussion on budget, more resolutions and ask questions and supplementaries, etc. So that beside this, separate electorates were introduced in India. The general electorate, class electorate covering the landlords and the Muslims, and the special electorates covering the Chamber of Commerce were created. Okay. After this, the election system with the right to vote restricted to a very few people like universities, district boards and municipalities, Chamber of Commerce and landlords were to elected the members. After this, the act facilitated to the Indian to be nominated governor as the governor's executive council and 2 Indians to be nominated to the Council of Security of States for Indian Affairs. This brings a lot of criticism against this act in India, particularly for the communal electorate and reinforcing the divide and rule policy, so that through it was provided the representation for Indians in central legislative councils and the provisional legislature councils. It failed to provide the responsible government. At this, Gokhale criticized these reforms as inadequate and unbecoming. The moderate leaders got disappointed and the people of India felt a strong desire for opposing foreign rulers. This has led to the acceptance of the ideas and methods of extremists. After the Indian Council Act of 1909, the next act is that Government of India Act 1919. In this act, we will see what is the dissatisfactions and what the new points are raised to the Legislative Council towards the Indian Constitution. Okay. The dissatisfaction resulting from the Indian Council Act 1909 were Indians more critical of British rule. As a result of the extremist phase and ideals methods were widely favored by the people, a number of factors contributed for the political situations of India. The repressive policies of Lord Curzon, the division of Bengal and its subsequent unification, censorship on the press and the civil rights of the people, and the outbreak of the First World War created the discontentment among the people of India. The outbreak of First World War in 1914 compelled the British to seek men and material support from the people of India. Here, as a result, it changed its policy towards India and made an August Declaration of 1917. This declaration by the Lord Mountbatten expressed the goal of British, that is the ultimate establishment of a responsible government in India. The Secretary of State for India, Lord and the Viceroy and the Governor General Lord Ford together prepared the Indian Government Act 1919, incorporating the various constitutional reforms and discussed the main provisions. What were they? We will see. And that are the Executive Council, Secretary of State of India was to comprise 8 to 12 members and half of them should be serve in India. And then similarly membership of Indians in Governor General Executive Councils was increased from 1 to 3 in this act. In Government of India Act 1919. So, the next provision of this act is the central legislature become the bicameral with the Council of States with 60 members and legislative assembly with 146 members. Elected members were to be in majority in both the houses. Both the houses were vested with their relatively greater powers. The diarchy system was introduced at the provincial level. Under this system, the subject of administration were divided into two groups, that is, reserved subject and transferred subject. Reserved subject, such as it deal with finance, irrigation, law, order. Okay, and the most subjects were important and under the direct of control of the governors. The less significant subjects are classified as transfer subjects and were under the Indian ministries responsible to the legislature. So that the provisional legislatures, that is legislative councils, were to be unicameral. The strength of these councils varies from the provisions to provisions based on the population between 23 to 139 members. That is 75% of them were to be elected. After that, 6 Anglo-Indians, Christians and Europeans were also granted a separate electorates. The system of indirect elections come to replace with the direct elections. Meanwhile, the franchise was limited only to the sections and educated. See how these points are raising up and how the differences of legislative council and houses and the representative of legislative and executive councils also. Here in this act, all these are rising from low to high and the points are to be changed for the framing out the strong constitution for the welfare of each and every individual Indian citizen. In this act, the next provisions is that it has to establish a stationary commission to inquiry into the working and the progress of this act in a periodical manner. Through the Government of India Act 1919 is a landmark and enactment to the constitutional history of India. Why? Because it continued to vast many powers to the governor, general at the center governors and the general at the center and the governors at the provisional levels, so that they either endorse or reject any bill passed by the legislature. Here, it defeated the purpose of establishing a responsible government in India, so that the system of directly provided for the provisional governments proved to be a great failure. It divides the administrative subjects in a reserved subject and the transfer subjects in a more irrational manner by the reinforcing of the some against others. How the acts are framing the Indian Constitution, we are observing that how the other group of peoples and the other legislative councils are getting more power and how they can utilize their power in a positive manner for the development and for the structure of constitution here. So these movements and these phases after this, these acts are also playing a very important crucial role in framing out the Indian Constitution. One by one the acts are changing the rules, and these rules are relating to every region and every individual's strength, individual's confidence and individual's development, so that by these acts only the constitution will be strong and all over the different type of regions and religions can be smoothly run through this constitution.